Some of you again, as some of you we've seen over the course of the year, and some are new to campus. We want to avoid repeating some of the stuff we said in over the course of the year that was more sort of philosophical. We want to talk about the academic program in a more practical way for those of you that are thinking about starting your career here. I am David Rohrabacher. I've been a professor of classics at the college since 2000. Classics, the study of Latin and ancient Greek language, and then the study of Greek and Roman history, philosophy, literature, science, all things about the classical world. And Professor Shaw is my colleague.
Hi, yes, this is my 17th year at New College. And yeah, we're really excited to talk to you today about the academic program. You know, some of you have heard it before, so we'll try to be a little more specific. But one of the things that I'll say right off the get-go is that my main message to you, if you don't listen to anything else that we talk about, is as you're deciding what college to go to, what university to attend, remember that finding the right college for you is really, it's a match to be made. It's not a process to be won. You have to go to the right college for you. Okay, and so we're going to give you some real specifics on how the academic program works at New College that are really vastly different than a lot of other universities. So we want to ensure that you understand how New College differs and make sure we've got a match for you.
So one thing we'll start with is advising. We use a special system, the contract system, where students don't think about individual classes, but think about each semester as kind of a unified whole. And you're guided to do that through faculty advisors. And I just cannot overestimate a strength of the New College program, very close attention from actual faculty from the moment you set foot on campus. And that is not the case at larger schools. I don't know if it's the case at any schools, honestly. You will have a faculty advisor, you will have an advisor in the Career Center. There will be one-on-one meetings regularly and constantly with your advisor should you want them. Some people want to talk to me more than others, but that's part of my job, is to talk with students, figure out individually, what are you interested in? What are you good at? What is a challenge for you? How do you imagine yourself going through college, and what do you imagine yourself doing afterwards? And so that intensive individual attention is a hallmark of the New College system.
And when you arrive, you'll do something called negotiate your contract. So instead of just selecting a bunch of classes, you will sit down with your advisor and you'll talk about things like your interests, maybe if you know your AOC. A lot of students come in and they're like, well, I want to take, 4 classes in this one area because I know this is what I love. And we're going to talk it out. You don't get to make those choices in that way. We need to explain to you the benefit of expanding, growing, because if you're in an advanced econ class in your first year at college versus an advanced econ class when you're in your 4th year at college, you're going to be a totally different person. You're going to be a totally different academic. You're going to get so much more out of that advanced class. You want to build a foundation that's pretty broad and get narrower as you move on in your academic career. So a lot of the message of what we'll talk about today is the level of communication that's really encouraged at New College.
So President Corcoran had a lot of positive things to say about liberal arts education and asked, why is it so successful? And part of it is it's a broadening experience. It's meant for you to not just focus on one thing, one major, one subject. You can do that at a lot of schools. In fact, at a lot of schools, larger schools, you are actually discouraged from taking things outside your major, from slowing your progress, from trying or tasting something new. And that is, again, completely opposite to the philosophy we have at New College. And you ask why. I mean, there's really kind of 2 ways to think about it. One is there are jobs in the future that don't exist now. There are opportunities and things that you cannot train for. you cannot do vocationally because they're new, they're at the cutting edge. And so you need a broad-based education. I'll come back to that idea later. But another is, even if you know what you want to do, you do want to be a doctor, you do want to go into business, you'll be the businessman who knows not just sort of basic business and economics, but you've also read some Russian literature and studied some chemistry and done some psychology. And those are edges that you will have. That's the broad-based liberal arts education that you will get, and you'll get there through close faculty involvement. So we're not going to force you to take stuff you don't want to take, but we will be there encouraging you, and we will be there offering opportunities and ways to expand your vision, and that will make you, that'll be more fun, honestly, than just sticking to one thing, but it'll also make you a better person, better in the workplace as well.
And
so,
I will just another piece of that puzzle of experimenting or taking classes that maybe interest you but don't necessarily line up with your major is that sometimes you find things that you're incredibly passionate about by expanding, exploring. And New College, the contract system really gives you an opportunity to do that. I mean, literally countless students come in knowing exactly what they want to do, and then they take a class with Professor Rohrbacher, and they're just like, I want to study classics, I want to study Latin. I mean, we've had, I'm being a little facetious, but it's actually true. Like, we have students who were in, marine biology, and then switched to classics and are now in graduate programs in marine archaeology, ancient archaeology, underwater. So, I mean, that happens, and that opening of who you are, I mean, you are probably not at age 18 the person you're going to be at age 22. We need to give you that space to grow. And this contract system gives you that opportunity to have those conversations with an advisor who can say, I hear that you're really excited by this topic. Why don't you try a class? And if you're worried about unsadding, well, we'll negotiate the contract so it's what we would say 3 out of 4. David can explain the logistics of that.
well, I'm going to move on a little bit, because another way that we encourage you to take these sorts of risks or try things that are unfamiliar is through narrative evaluation. So Anna described that to you. You do not receive grades or a GPA. You get full multi-paragraph feedback on the exercises that you do. So look, at its core, it's information. In order to learn and improve what you're doing, you need more information. And the letter B is not information. That is not successfully going to get you to the next level. We're going to write detailed, multi-paragraph, this was good, this was bad, you should try this next, do this, don't do this. That is the kind of information that you need to develop your skills. But there's another part to that too, which is you don't have to worry about ruining your GPA. You don't have to worry about, if I try this thing and it's risky, that if it doesn't work out, something bad will happen. We're going to encourage you to do stuff. Maybe your evaluation will be not so good, right? She wasn't very good at biology. Who cares, right? It doesn't matter, and that's an important way in which you have this space to try new things without being penalized or punished. So it's both a positive for learning, but also positive for broadening your scope of interest.
And to return to the sort of the importance of communication at New College, your professors are going to know you. They are going to be able to write a multi-paragraph evaluation of your work over the semester. Those kind of relationships that are built at New College play out in so many different positive ways, from if you need letters of recommendation to study abroad, if you need letters of recommendation for graduate school. I mean, there's a reason why New College has more Fulbrights than any other university at sort of per capita. It's because we, as professors, work closely with our students. And when students are really excited and work really hard, we've got pages of great stuff to say about them. Whereas, I often tell people, my wife went to University of California, San Diego. She graduated in 4 years without a single professor knowing her name. That is not what you will get at New College.
One aspect of our program, beyond the regular coursework that you do, is a proliferation of opportunities for various kinds of independent work. So on its own, we think it's important that students learn how to learn independently, how to develop independent skills. That's what you're going to need to do when you leave. And there are students who learn the game, right? You learned the game in high school. This is what you needed to do to get a good grade in your AP class, follow these rules. That's obviously not the way the world works. So we want you to develop these independent learning skills, both in our January interterm. Every January, there are no classes. You work with the faculty member to do an independent study project. It can be academic, it can be experiential, such as an internship or some form of career-related learning. It can be artistic, but that will be a required part of the program that you develop those kinds of ideas. Similarly, during the semester itself, especially as you move into your second, third year, we'll be encouraging you to do more independent work. So when you look at the course catalog and you say, oh, this is a small school, there's not as many options. In reality, the options are as many as you want them to be. You will work with a faculty member who often will say, oh, you did well in this intro level class. What are the pieces you'd like to do at a more advanced level? What's the thing you wanted to double down on or to learn more about or expand your knowledge base on?
And, all professors are different, and all professors have different criteria for working with students. Some may be more sort of like want you to work strictly within their area of expertise. Some professors are saying, you know what, you're passionate about this topic and you want to study it academically, I'm going to support that. Let's do a tutorial on it. So there are lots of opportunities for individualized coursework, individualized study, where you can develop who you are, what you're studying, what your whole academic career looks like, much more beyond what the course catalog looks like.
It seems to me when you think about what other schools are like, that one criticism if you go to a big state school is that you end up just sort of taking a bunch of classes and then you graduate, that there's a lack of coherence, that you kind of fill one from this column and one from that column and then you're done. And there have been critiques of that style of education that's not bringing things together, developing skills in a sequential way. And so some people go to schools that are more sequential, that have required classes, maybe for 2 full years or more, where you're more like a high school where you take this class and this class and this class. And those schools do give you coherence, they are building towards something, but it's not the something that you personally want to build towards unless you're incredibly lucky. So New College tries to bridge that gap. We are going to make you build, we are going to have you develop skills, we're going to have a coherent program for you. But what that subject is up to your interests and your abilities. So again, just to look at the subject of classics where we teach, I'm thinking about some of the senior theses that we've had in classics in recent years. So I'm working with a student right now. Her senior thesis is on just war theory, that is, when is it morally right to go to war and how should one act in war, in the writings of Cicero, Augustine, and Aquinas. I next year have one that will be on elements of the epic poem by Ovid called the Metamorphoses, so more of a literature idea. What do you have?
Yeah, I mean, last year one of my students was pre-med. She had a double AOC in chemistry and classics, and so she wanted to study ancient medicine. And so, I mean, the opportunities really are incredibly broad for you to focus in on what makes you feel passionate, what makes you, I mean, one of my favorite moments is when a student says to me, I woke up at 3 in the morning because I was thinking about this and I had to go work on it. Like, that is to me like the ultimate goal as a professor to have a student so excited about a topic that they're looking at, that they're interested in, that they spend time and they're thinking about it while they're sleeping.
So at another school, you'll be, in a lecture hall with 600 people in the back, right? This kind of education can't happen without faculty getting to know students very well, knowing their weaknesses as well as their strengths, knowing what tendencies they have to maybe not work so hard or not do so well. But when you're doing something you want to do, that makes all the difference, and you'll develop the important skills that you need, but doing something that you're excited about and passionate about. Just real quick, I want to come back to President Corcoran's remarks on liberal arts education. Liberal arts education is the first kind of education developed 900 years ago or so at Oxford and the University of Paris. It is the kind of education that you get in the Ivy League schools. It's the kind of education you get at the service academies. These are all liberal arts environments. And you don't have to be a superstar to gain from this form of education. You have to be someone who wants to learn, who relishes working on learning new things and broadening yourself. But we are there to help you and to support you through this. When I look to the future, in my entire life, I've never been less confident about what the world will look like in 5 years or 10 years. What it will look like politically, economically, whether AI will take half the jobs and which jobs those will be. And when we're in this kind of environment that is so uncertain, I think you have to fall back on what's worked before, what's been around for 900 years. You have to go with the broad-based education, because if you pick wrong and you pick specific, you could be in real trouble. So that's, I think, a particular reason right now to think about liberal arts. And if we have time, we'll take questions. One or two.
Any questions for us? Yeah.
How does the advising work for that first semester if the students come in and they haven't had a chance to talk to the class?
Well, we've actually devised a sort of summer advising program where you're working with these with advisors over the summer to actually start getting things planned out.
And then another part is we give students a week and a half before they're officially in classes. So faculty give mini classes, 15-minute summaries of their classes that students go to sort of shop around. Oh, that sounds exciting, or I wonder what this class is like, and get kind of an outline of that. And in that first week, the students are somewhat fluid. They might be trying out a class that they may or may not actually enroll in. So you don't have to be set with your classes for quite a while, and that gives more space for that kind of advising.
You hinted at details of the contracts. You mentioned 3/4 or something